Congratulations on that. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. I was stoked to see your name and that you're doing something like this now. I mean, obviously it's a total pivot in a different direction from what you've done for years, and it's obviously super important. So it's rad that you're, doing stuff like this.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, it's super rad that you are doing what you're doing with mental health. And I'll just tell you, like with the Check Your Head podcast, it's all about, musicians sharing their mental health stories, their experiences, and their solutions for recovery. Because we do want to let people know there's solutions out there, and people do get better.
Sure.
And I'm sure you've had your share of experiences, being in music for so long. But we do record this and it gets edited. So don't worry if there's a pause or anything like that. Or, I know you're like a super professional. And, I found that just like in music, when you spill your honest emotions and on stage, that's when you best connect with the audience. And so that's what I tell my guests on the podcast. People, when they're more open, honest, and vulnerable, that's where people really connect with what you're saying.
Agreed.
But I really want to thank you for being involved in the 320 Festival and then basically speaking out on mental health, because I know you've done other events and projects that kind of circulate around that. What made you want to be sort of an advocate for mental health in the music industry?
Just losing too many friends to it, from family, friends, and so many musician, friends. And it really struck a nerve, especially when in the past dealing with family members, not knowing where to go for help or how to deal with it. It was kind of a very awkward thing, that there wasn't the resources, there wasn't the open dialogue. It was kind of like, if you could afford a shrink, maybe go to a shrink. It was just very traditional the way it was dealt with. And, the one positive thing that's happened through all these, tragic, deaths and whatnot is that people have started all these amazing organizations, and it's a very household talked about normal thing now, which is so important and needed. And, at our fingertips, we could literally have apps, phone numbers, different ways to seek help if we need help for a family member that's going through it or whatnot. And, I've regularly used these for different family members, and it's a normal thing to deal with now, instead of this scary, unknown, uncharted territory. And I think it's the most real and most important, cause out there. And anytime there's anything having to do with that, I'm there and I'm involved. And especially, with the Bennington family, because of my deep relationship with Chester, and the amazing work his wife's done, with creating this organization 320. And, anything they've done, I've been involved with it, since day one. And this is right now, this festival is more important need than ever because of what we're going through in the world. Mental health, I feel like, is an all-time risk, right now. And this show is supposed to be, at a real concert venue and all that. And obviously when we saw that we couldn't have concerts and whatnot, I'm like, they still got to do this online. They have to, and they are, and they're pulling through, because this is way bigger than just a little concert in LA. This is now going to stream to the world and help people. And the fact that they've turned into like a 3-day summit with all different kinds of, from lectures to, yoga and performances and all this stuff. And, it's pretty cool to get to see some of these artists, in these stripped down environments, like Chris Martin, for example. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. You normally see him in stadiums. What's he going to do? And is he going to be in his living room? Or, it's like you don't get to see those artists in those very, vulnerable, kind of settings. So I think it's a really cool thing, and I'm just stoked to be part of it and just to help, keep the awareness going, because it's really important.
Yeah. I mean, just like how we're talking right now, I mean, one of the missions for the podcast is to normalize the conversations around mental health. And then also, you know, encourage people to get help, but also let people know that there are solutions. And some of the stuff that you mentioned, like telehealth and different apps where people can get help when they're all by themselves and all they have is their phone. And oftentimes, when you're struggling or when you're deep into a mood disorder or depression or panic attack, whatever it is, usually you're all by yourself and you don't know what to do. So it's just that one action that could help turn things around. And, for me, 2017 was a big year because even though we've been losing musicians to mood disorders and addictions for a long time, 2017, I think, really rocked our world. I mean, we had, Chris Cornell of Soundgarden, and then, of course, Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, Avicii, popular EDM DJ. It was almost like coming in succession. When you you were such a close friend of Chester Bennington. What were your first thoughts when you heard the news?
It was one of those moments. I was literally on stage about to sound check in Canada with Sum 41. I had literally the night before played the Alternative Press Music Awards I did this crazy drum performance with Josh from 21 Pilots and Adrian from No Doubt. And I know Chester was a big 21 Pilots fan with his kids. He would take them to the shows. So I literally sent him, hey, show the kids this. I did this crazy thing last night. I know your kids love. And literally that day he passed. And, my manager called me, who also manages Chris Cornell, and the family told him first before it kind of got out. So they kind of wanted to let me know before I saw it on social media or whatever. And it was just like, we had just played in Europe, festivals and headlining shows with Linkin Park with Sum 41. When Chris Cornell passed away, we were on the festival tour with him playing shows. Like it was just to have that 1-2 happen. And then even Anthony Bourdain, who somebody I idolized, I actually got to meet him a couple months before that happened. It was just like, what the fuck is going on around with me, with these people that I look up to, that are family, that have done so much for me and been such a big part of my life. It was really an opening thing because I think so many people think like, oh, they have it all, they have the fame, the money, the family, and it's like, there's obviously, that doesn't mean anything if you're not well inside. And these people just unfortunately lost their battles with, the demons. And even Chester's wife was like, she started this because when she was dealing with these issues with her husband in the past, she didn't know who to call, what to look up. And so she started this so everyone else that was going through this wouldn't have those things. But Chester was definitely the hardest one because it was someone that I'd been so close with for, he's one of the first people, I met in the industry kind of when I moved to LA. And we toured together, a ton, what he did for Street Drum Corps. And it just sucked. It was not, I still can't even, believe it to this day. And, that was a really, really rough one. I'm grateful for the time I had with him. We shared a really amazing moment in Amsterdam together backstage before we played together, literally weeks before that happened. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm just love to be still involved with his family and to help them in any way whenever these things, come up, and to raise money. Like I've been doing a lot of these, it's big now, these cameos and all that kind of stuff. And I initially was like, no way, that's cheesy. I'm not charging people for a birthday message. But then when I saw that you can do the charity thing, I said, you know what, this is a great way. I'm going to donate all the money to this mental health. And I say it on my disclaimer, like, you guys, your money's going towards this. I'm not keeping a dime of it. This is found money for me to help other people. And I just literally, because it's mental, health week, and I'm doing this big show on Saturday, I literally just wrote them a check from all my cameos. And it feels good to be able to help that way by, just giving somebody a little greeting or whatever. So I'm all about it. And this performance, has been actually something inspiring, for me, because it was supposed to be obviously in a traditional venue. And I've been out on, when I have breaks from Sum 41, I've been doing solo stuff now where I've been collaborating with singers, DJs, songwriters, and, working on my own solo record. And this was kind of going to be the big solo show debut. And when they said it was going to go online, I think for somebody like Chris Martin, for example, to play acoustic and sing in their living room is super cool. It'll sound cool. You don't get to see them. But for me with drums, to do that in my house, the way I wanted it to be portrayed, and I was going to go big for the show, and I want to go big for Chester and everybody involved in this. I was just like, came up with a new way to take this show and deliver that same production. And I literally went into a friend's warehouse and brought in like literally as much production as I possibly could. And all my special guests, they filmed their parts at home. We're adding it in the edit, which was really cool to collaborate virtually that way because of social distancing. And then with technology now, with my crew members, the computers were able to fire lighting and visuals without anybody being in the room with me, which is pretty amazing. So to redo my whole, thing, which this is the medium we're living in now. It's all about, what you and I are doing right now, this is actually how most of my days are spent. It's either with, trying to go on and talk to kids at the School of Rock to keep them inspired during these times, or, interviews or musical things. It's like I did emo night with my kids, in the same room playing Sum 41 songs on our, found objects in the house. And with Street Drum Corps, we launched the whole campaign about SDC at home, come up with taking household items and, tag SDC at home, and we'll give you prizes and pick winners. And now that's turned into, we're doing virtual lessons where you could learn to do Street Drum Corps all over the world with our top leaders and, drummers by virtual lessons. So it's like this virtual world we live in now, and you kind of just got to embrace it because it is what it is for now until we can get back to, what things used to be. But it's a trip. It's a total trip.
Yeah, it totally is a trip. It's so funny hearing you talk about it because, of course, I miss live music. There's a certain energy that you get from the musicians on stage, and I'm sure your fans also give back, and you could feel that energy. And sometimes it is transferred through computer or through television. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, there's something that is more personal when you go online like this, and you could speak to your fans one-on-one, and, maybe talk in between, or, they see you in your house where you, spend your time. There is something really personal about that. And I think you can get a really good connection by letting other people see you like in your real life.
It's important. And I think especially with the youth, because, they're stuck at home. They can't go, play at the park with their friends or go to soccer practice or, go to their, School of Rock for lessons and all that. It's really important. So I feel like, when I've gotten on with the School of Rocks and through the different, drum companies and musical instrument companies I sponsor, and I've done these live things, I'm just like, you know what, guys, use this to take your craft to the next level, because you don't have to run off to, soccer practice or this and this. You're stuck at home. There's no better way now to take, whether if you're a painter, you're a dancer, whatever you are, use this time to come out of this quarantine with another level of your just, craft. And I think even with songwriters, the music that's going to come out next year, I feel like is going to be insane because, you're not just in the studio with the clock ticking and then you got to run to an interview and then press. It's like, you're stuck, man. Like totally dive in to this world. So I've just been trying to get that message out to, keep the kids inspired and motivated, which is kind of like my two kind of things that I'm so passionate about is mental health, and also going out, motivating and inspiring the youth, which I do talk about mental health now as well. And I've been touring the world with Van Shoes and SJC Drums doing these workshops where they're motivational, inspirational. I give the stage to all these upcoming amazing young musicians to play. I go up and perform, then I perform with the kids. It's a hang, a Q&A, and we do them at like skate parks and coffee shops and record shops, and just trying to take like the old, boring, stale, drum clinics, flip them upside down and make a fun thing. And it's been really cool to have those connections with these kids. And like, we've had some amazing stories where parents have pulled us aside and said their kid being at that event has got them out of their depression, or And these are little kids. And to hear that, like, parents have told me, oh, my kid's been suicidal or whatever, and I'm just like, what? Like, they're so young. And that's the negative side to this, you know, social media world that we live in now, this online bullying and how everybody has to feel validated about likes. I mean, this stuff really does end people's lives, unfortunately, which is insane. And I talk about that a lot, how, you know, you have to just filter all that stuff out. And as long as you believe in it, that's all that matters. And, you know, that's been a whole nother battle. I think that, you know, I'm so glad that when I was coming up, I didn't have any of this. I didn't have a computer. There wasn't, you know, any of this kind of stuff to, you know, steer you, you know, you played a show and that was it. People either clapped or they didn't clap. They weren't, you know, berating you online and this and that. And just this new, you know, world we live in. So, you know, it's just, there's a lot of ways, I think, for people. And, you know, I've constantly, you know, my mental health, it's like, I just try to learn from seeing all this other, you know, stuff happen and, you know, try to grow from that and learn and be a better human from that. And I'm constantly, you know, working on my mental health, which to me is surrounding myself with, you know, a lot of really amazing breathwork coaches for breathing, you know, athletes and trainers for all kinds of, you know, crazy, you know, exercise and training. You know, that stuff to me really keeps my mind healthy and feeling good and giving me that release I need. And just surrounding myself with people like that to talk about life. And like, I have my little support team, you know, that we pump each other up and we can bounce things off. You know, before this literally hit, I went on a 4-day retreat in Kauai, you know, with Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese for their whole XPT experience, just to shut off from the world, to really immerse in that and learn about all this breath work. And it was therapy to me. That, for, you know, my whole thing doesn't, sitting on a couch talking to somebody, that's not my thing. This is therapy, that kind of stuff to me. And that took my mind and my mental health on a completely another level. So those are the things that I do that works for me, that I constantly, I want to be a better human. I want to, you know, be a better husband, a better father, you know, all these things. I'm just trying to constantly grow, because you can never learn and grow. I mean, I learned stuff from, you know, homeschooling my kids today because their daycare is closed. You know, I learned stuff today that I didn't even know. And I'm just like, see, we learn every day. You know, I'm doing literally pre-K work and I'm learning, you know, stuff that I didn't know before. So it's just like, I think that stuff is really important to just keep your brain, you know, going and inspired and all that.
Yeah, well, one thing that you pointed out is when you went on that retreat, it also gives your mind a break from your day-to-day music. And even though you love music,
Mm-hmm.
I think especially creative people, we get so excited about what we're doing that we can work and work and work, and sometimes really long hours, sometimes, you know, late at night, where it could affect our sleep, or just that constant adrenaline also kind of deprives our minds or our brains of the rest that it needs. And, you know, taking that break and doing something different, doing something that you're also excited about, can give your, you know, your brain a break, kind of like a vacation. And I think that's important to point out, because you know, some of these musicians that, you know, end up losing their lives, like Avicii. Avicii was gone for a bit, and he was kind of getting back on track, getting back into the studio, and people thought, oh gosh, you know, he's getting back on track, but he ended his life, you know, not long after that. And sometimes the stress of doing too much can really, you know, cause a mood disorder or depression or anxiety or, you know, a panic attack. Have you ever experienced any of those things? Because it does show a lot of musicians, you know, at some time in their life have experienced, you know, feelings like that.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, no. You know, yes, you're in a bubble. You know, I mean, last year, the longest break I had off was 7 days for Christmas, you know, in an entire year. You know, because I'm a workaholic too. When I'm not on the road with some, I'm doing these drum workshops. I'm you know, doing solo stuff. I'm out with whatever, you know, either Keizo or Krewella or, you know, training on retreats or whatnot. So I don't know how to, you know, stop going. And I mean, I think the only hard battle that I have is just now having a family and 2 young, you know, children, is just, you know, when I was just away for 5 straight weeks, you know, being in Japan and Europe so far away, you know, and missing milestones and things. That's been the hardest part, but it hasn't put me in like a, you know, any kind of a depressed, you know, I mean, my tour family, you know, I'm with positive people. I wouldn't be in a band. I don't care if it was the biggest, you know, band in the world that was paying me the most money in the world. If it was a unhealthy, toxic camp, I wouldn't be able to do it. I have to be with people that have their shit together, that are inspiring, especially when we're living in a bus together. And, you know, I spend more time with Sum 41 than my own family because of our schedule. And, you know, I mean, the only thing that, yeah, will wear you down is all the travel. If you're not getting, you know, proper sleep, which, you know, sleep is the most important thing. Without proper sleep, everything else just doesn't happen. And I know it's hard for some people, especially, you know, I'm going through it now with, you know, with, you know, a toddler and a baby, you know, getting, you know, woken up in the middle of the night and then kids in bed with you and all this kind of stuff. Like, it definitely affects me. I actually sleep better on the road because I'm in a bus that puts me to sleep and I don't have the, you know, crying kids or whatnot. But sleep is, for your health, is the most important thing. It all starts with sleep. You can go to the gym every day and be the most fit person. If you're not getting, you know, at least 7 hours of good sleep a night, you're fucked. You know, that's just what it comes down to. You know, and that could be a lot of reasons that, you know, people, you know, deal with certain things because of that fatigue. And, you know, then there's the whole other thing, which, you know, so many people are on all kinds of meds, which, you know, you wonder how many of these deaths medicine played a role and they weren't in their right mind, you know, or alcohol or whatever it may be, you know. So that's a whole other thing that, like, when I went on, you know, when Neil Strauss and Gabby Reese had that Truth Barrel podcast,
Right.
I'd just become a new father. I was about to go on a 9-week straight tour in Europe, which is the longest tour I've ever done in my life. And I was just like, you know, being in Sum 41 is like being you know, a full-on athlete. And there's no way I could be partying and drinking the way I used to. And I want to, you know, and it's also like, I'm the new guy. I really want to, like, prove myself here with the fans and take this fans, you know, show next level and all that. And after talking with them and, you know, Neil and I talking about the old party days and all this stuff, it was just kind of like, I'm going to take this away from work. You know, just because I get to do music for a living, you know, everybody else, a doctor, he doesn't go to work and drink, you know, a businessman doesn't go to work and drink. Like, I'm going to remove this component from that lifestyle. And thank God I never had a substance issue, but I did start noticing it was like, I'd have a drink while I was warming up, a drink during the show, a glass of chew of wine after. And then some days I wouldn't even want to, but it was like part of my routine. And I was like, okay, this is not good now. If I don't want to, but it's this psyche thing about it's part of the routine. And I literally took that away. And most musicians want to have drinks to take the edge off before the show. I love having the edge now, to be that amped up and nervous and that energy. And you come out just like so on fire. That's been such a new thing, because for so many years it was like, we'd always, especially in street drum corps, it was like, you know, we'd have a shot and a drink before we'd go on stage or whatever. And it's like, that's all gone now. And, you know, that's a really important thing about just being as healthy as I possibly can and just omitting that. You know, I don't do any drugs, not weed, none of that stuff. And, you know, I'm just on a health quest so I can do this forever and I can be around, you know, as long as possible to watch my kids do everything, you know, they want to do. And just realizing that and noticing that, that's been like helping my mental health and working on things. You know, it's like, it's just, you know, it's just unfortunate how much of that stuff people go to supplement things, and it starts taking over, and then they're making decisions based on it. You know, we had a family member, you know, a really close family friend, you know, too young, you know, take her life, and she was completely blacked out drunk. You know, did that do it? Or if she would have been sober, would she have not done it? You know, so it's like, there's that question, and it's like, I don't ever want to be in those situations. It's scary. And that is enough to like scare you straight kind of thing from watching and learning from people that have had these horrific things, you know, happen. You know, you just grow and learn is the best, you know, way to put it.
Right, right. Well, you know, I'm curious, you've been in the music industry for so long and you've got all this wonderful experience. You've played with so many different bands, you know, not only Sum 41 and Street Drum Corps, but the new Number 2 and Krewella and so forth. And you talk about the drugs and the alcohol and the, you know, different kind of ways to self-medicate.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the incidents with your family member that kind of turned you around, or was it a certain incident that made you say, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm done with it, and I want to lead a cleaner life?
It was that, exactly what you just said, and it was also seeing what certain rock stars had, you know, become. You know, I literally was playing for Scott Weiland, you know, for a bunch of shows, and just saw, you know, what a mess, you know, his life turned into. And I mean, he was a lovely, lovely man, an icon. When he was on, to be able to grace the stage with him, play these songs that I grew up to. But like seeing the effects it had, and I was supposed to be on that tour that he passed away on the bus, but I couldn't do the tour because I was getting married then. And to see him gone, and I could have been on that bus when that happened, and, you know, all this other stuff, you know, even my own singer in Sum 41, you know, I mean, he went down from alcohol, you know, and he's so lucky to be well and alive and healthy. And, you know, that basically scared him straight. The doctors looked at him, and when he was in the bed in the hospital, and said, you drink again, you're done. And that was enough. He was like, I'm not going to rehab. I'm not going to AA. Like, I'm done. I want to perform. And that was it, you know, and to have people like that around me is really inspiring. You know, but then there's people that have been able to kick it, and they're better than ever, you know, which is inspiring, too. You know, I'm just more, my only like thing I'm addicted to is like work and, you know, good stuff. Not, you know, I've never had the addictive personality to smoking and, you know, bad stuff. You know, thank God. And, you know, my family's the same way too. You know, we haven't really had, in my immediate family, you know, really addicts. My extended family now, there's been some, you know, substance issues here and there, which all families have and whatever, but like, we've literally been using these mental health, you know, amazing outlets now to, you know, help family members and to do wellness checks. And I mean, especially now, you know, this is, you know, I think just the stress of people not working and not knowing what's going to happen and all that, it's not good. But unfortunately, it's out of our controls, and you just have to take it day by day, because worrying about 6 months from now isn't going to do you any when we can't control. This is the first time the playing field has been leveled. We're all equal. We're going through this, the entire world. And, you know, it's nice to see certain, you know, your bill companies and mortgage companies stepping up and doing grace periods and getting checks and unemployment and all these different things, to see the community coming together. Obviously, you know, it needs big improvement. But I think that's been a big stress, you know, and you're going to, you know, unfortunately, we're seeing domestic abuse and alcoholism and drug, you know, skyrocket. I mean, I told my wife, I was in Sprouts last night shopping, and I know it's Cinco de Mayo today, maybe that plays in a role, but like the beer thing was less than half empty. And I'm just like, whoa, this is like a Monday. Like, why is this, you know? And it's not like you can have a Cinco de Mayo party. You can have it with your spouse, mm-hmm. or you're 6 feet across. I've been seeing neighborhoods, people, you know, across the street and stuff, but like, that's not a good sign, you know, seeing that last night. So it's beyond surreal. I'm supposed to be in Australia right now. We're supposed to be out with Offspring doing a huge arena tour right now. And, you know, I don't even know if there's going to be shows this year anymore. I mean, the last phase of all these phases is live concerts again. So we're probably not going to see anything until next year. And, you know, it sucks. It totally sucks when this, you know, the summer I look forward to. It's my favorite time, festivals and seeing all these bands and playing with these bands. And, you know, my family was going to come to, you know, Europe with me this summer. I was going to do festivals with my solo stuff in Europe. And it's like, you know, things just keep canceling. Street Drum Corps, all the big state fairs, we have our franchise groups doing canceling. And it's just like, holy shit, like, okay, you know, what a bummer. But like, I just think turn it positive, really embrace this family time, because I don't, once it goes again, I don't think I'm gonna have family time like this again. You know, especially when my kids are this young. It's so important. And just trying to, you know, better myself, you know, write more music and, you know, projects. And I mean, I'm actually getting to do house projects. I moved in my
Yeah.
house 3 years ago and I've been on tour since. So it's like, we're actually getting to like unpack the garage finally and like, you know, do all this house shit that you normally don't have time to. So it's like, you know, yes, of course I'd love to be on stage, you know, and getting that, you know, that, that part of me out. But you know, it's been fun, like to reinvent and do these new festivals and things that are happening with streaming now, and to be, you know, challenged in that way.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you've kind of made the transition and you're sort of appreciating what quarantine has brought us, really. And I mean, it's hard. This whole thing is hard for everyone because we've all had to change on a dime, right? All of our routines, everything has changed. But I mean, things like you said, like spending time with family and having conversations with loved ones that you may never or very rarely get to have because you don't have the time, you're working, you're too tired. Um, it, I mean, I know that, you know, the people in my personal space right now, I've got to know them better than I think I ever would have gotten to know them, you know,
Yeah.
with years of being with them. And I appreciate that. It's funny that you talk about the house projects because I saw this video with Adam Alt, and he was making a new drum with.
That's for our street drum corps at home thing I was telling you about.
I
Yeah,
thought that was
totally.
awesome. But you know, one thing you were saying was wellness checks, and I wanted you to talk more about that because you know, being in a band, there are going to be times when you have a bandmate or someone that is going through maybe an addiction or something that might start to look like an addiction or a mood disorder. I mean, what is it that you do as far as a wellness check?
I think that, you know, and this is the problem I think that the world faces. Is the number one problem is people are afraid to confront people. And you don't have to confront them in like such a, you know, it could be a very casual talk, you know, and people are going to respond negatively sometimes. Sometimes they're going to embrace it. You know, it's like, I think that it's just about communication. Everything comes down to communication. And it comes with your family, with your spouse, with your children. Open communication. I don't know why so many people are afraid to communicate. It's the easiest thing that you can possibly do. And I think the outlook that and stance you have to take is, if this person is going to get offended by it, so what? They'll get over it. They're not going to write me off for the rest of their life. And I'm willing to take that chance to save their life, because this could save their life and I want to try and do it. And that's the biggest thing. You know, we had that with a friend. We sent her 320 and like, you know, you've been saying these things over and over again and like not jumping to conclusions, but if you want to talk and not talk to any family and just talk to a stranger that can help you, here's the thing. You know, and they were like, oh, you're overreacting and blah blah blah. And like, we don't know, maybe they could have reached out or whatever, but it was worth putting that out there and having the balls to do it. And everybody should do that. And don't be afraid, even if it's your own parent. You know, it's, wouldn't you feel better, you know, at least knowing you tried to help them? What if I should have said something? Why didn't I say something? It's like, that's what they tell, you know, kids and whatever. Always, you see something, you say something. You know, it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's just communication is where it starts. And you don't have to try to fix the problem or solve it. Just guide them into these amazing resources we have. You know, I got called by another. There's a new app now where it's like literally, you know, you click on, if you're going through gender identity crisis or, you know, feeling suicidal, you literally click on the app and it connects you to a live person who's a specialist to speak to for free. It's like, this is incredible. And most people can talk about deep stuff like that to strangers. Like, they talk to their hairstylists, you know, these people that aren't in their immediate circles. Like, I feel like hairstylists and people like that are more therapists, you know, because the shit they have to hear about, they know about you know, infidelities, I mean, you know, cheating and marriages and shit that their own families don't even know, you know. It's like, so I feel like, you know, having this stuff where you're just talking to someone that you have no idea who they are, you're not going to, you know, talk to them again or whatnot. Like, I feel like, you know, those things, you know, do help. And hopefully with all this tragic stuff happening and seeing the effects that it's having on their families and their lives, it's like that does knock some sense, you know, into people. I mean, and it's been good. Like, I had a friend just voluntarily put himself in rehab to better his life and better his mental health before something negative happened, you know. And like, you know, I did a wellness check on him recently, and he just out of that told me, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be going to rehab to better myself. And I'm just like, that's amazing, man. Like, so rad. I'm glad that I just sent you a message to check in on you, and you're already, you know, on your path. You know, and that even if someone's not, you know, not having mental health issues, it's good to check in with everybody right now, because it's important. You know, I've literally been checking in from my real estate agent to family, to friends, to, you know, musician friends, like to strangers on, you know, these, you know, like I'll go on my Instagram live story with just my kids, just try to let them just talk, you know, just to try to, you know, make some fans, you know, cheer them up and give them a smile. It's like the little things that we can do now when we have this time, you know, to connect. I think even for us as artists, I think with our fans, it's more important now than ever, especially, you know, when our fans, you know, are going through this and might not know how to deal with it and whatnot. So, you know, I think as artists, it's even more important than ever. And I've been challenging other artists to get on there, do these live things, and, you know, connect with your people, you know, look at your direct messages, man. You never know. There could be one buried in there that, you know, someone's needing help and going through something. And, you know, it's just, it's more important than ever.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that care and that support, even when it comes from a stranger or someone you admire like yourself, that that love and that care, wherever it comes from, can make the difference between somebody trying, you know, because when you're in a bad place, it might be hard to make that step, to make that call, you know, to make that text. But I want people to know that when they do that, it's a sign of strength, and it's a sign of really taking responsibility. Because, you know, oftentimes when people fall into mood disorders, first of all, it's really scary, especially for young adults, because they don't know what's going on. No one, you know, nobody expects, you know, let's say if it's depression, feeling like they're so tired that they can't even get out of bed, or feeling like I can't even feel the music that I used to love because I feel numb inside, or being a once confident person and then feeling like I'm not worth anything and people are better off without me. When you're in that state, it's just that little bit of hope that, you know, allows you to try. And when you connect with people, whether it's online or face to face, their story and their experience, you know, can help the other person. It's almost like somebody, like if you're in a dark room and you're by yourself and it's scary, it's that person that will put their hand out and pull you up. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So a lot of the nonprofits that are listed under the 320 Festival that are participating are also on my website at checkoutpodcast.com.
Right.
Because all of the resources there are not only for musicians, like we have Music Cares, we have Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, you know, primarily for musicians, but also for all the fans and the listeners. So there's, you know, like you were talking about, transgender support, you know, addiction support, all kinds of mental health resources that are either free or low cost. And, you know, oftentimes people think that finances are a barrier, and sometimes they could be, but once they look into it, they're going to find that there's a lot of free resources out there, and people that really do want to help because they have the understanding and the experience with it, you know. And once you recover and get better, you know, whether it's through medication or through music, or through nutrition or sleep. I mean, there's so many reasons why people can get into a really dark place. Uh, they need to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that, you know, life can be happy again and joyous and all those great things that we love about life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. And like, I don't know, I think that's our job, you know, on this earth as humans, is to help one another, you know, and this is something that's too common now. And that's just our jobs as humans here, to help other, you know, other people. And, you know, everybody should be doing this. This should be just as normal as everything else you do in your life, you know, because, you know, we all know someone, you know, in any capacity of your life that's, you know, going through this. It's just, it's unfortunately too common now, but I think it's pivoting and changing with all these great things. And that's the thing too, people think they can't get help, like you said, because it's expensive. You know, there's people, you know, donating to keep, you know, mental health free for people that can't afford it. And, you know, like this new app that I saw, you go on there for the first time and talk as long as you need to talk, you know. And it's just, it's really nice that it's not like, oh, I have to go through my insurance. Yeah, you do if you want to go sit down with a shrink in a traditional way. Like, I even found out through my insurance when I was like, you know, updating it, that I get, you know, a certain amount of free through my health, you know, insurance, a free, you know, sessions with a therapist and stuff like that. It's like, there is ways. And you know what, if you're in that bad of a place, I'm sure your family will help you out, you know, with that. But again, there's just all these amazing, you know, free places. And, you know, they're gonna raise a lot of great money, you know, for this 3-day show, which is amazing. So this stuff can be free and regularly available. So it's like, so much props to them for, you know, going through, and to you know, for Talinda to partner up with, you know, Kevin Lyman is like incredible. He's the king of putting on, you know, great shows and all that. It's just, you know, and these people are such dear friends and so important to me, and have changed my life and done so much for me. So it's like, anytime there's anything like this available, it's like, I'm there, you know, whether I, you know, Kevin's a professor now at USC. I went and spoke to his class, you know, it's like, whatever it may be, you know, I'm there for those people because they're there for me. And like, this really touches home, because of everything, you know, we've talked about, you know, today. It's just, it's important.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for, you know, just supporting the fans, supporting your bandmates, you
Mm-hmm.
know, being a support of this for this festival, and, you know, talking so openly about mental health and your experience with it, and kind of like how you've evolved through it also, because, you know, not only was it your family, but it's, you know, seeing how you could help those people. Um, so I applaud you for that.
Thank
Is there,
you.
are there any projects or anything that you want to talk about that are upcoming for you?
Just, you know, obviously with Sum 41 touring, you know, being on hold, it's just, I've been just working on this solo stuff, which I'm so excited to share for this 320 festival. I'm basically playing bits of my new EP and collaborating with all these great artists I've gotten to collaborate with, you know, coming from their homes and all that. So it's, you know, I'm trying to combine how everyone's doing stuff at their home in the living room with, then you see like these EDM ones where these, you know, it looks like they're at EDC at a rave, you know. So I wanted to bring the production element and the at home world and combine them to just do something really special and give somebody, you know, people something really fun to watch, you know, at home. And just to have that be part of such an amazing cause and event that's so dear to me. It's a special one. And it was really fun and challenging to put this thing, you know, together with my team. And we're just so blessed for the technology we have now, where I literally was able to do this, you know, without having all these people in a room, you know, and to follow the guidelines that, you know, our you know, government is, you know, enforcing now with what's going on, to be able to pull something off like this, you know, and follow the guidelines was pretty cool. In the beginning, it was just like, how do we do this, you know? And it's just about pushing yourself to find a way and all that. So it's been fun. I'm just so excited for everyone to see it. on Saturday. I believe it's Saturday that my portion's going to air. They'll announce the full lineup soon, but yeah, it's going to be super fun.
Well, I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to see like what you put together. It sounds really spectacular. And thanks so much for putting all that detail into it. It sounds like you're really trying to kind of push the envelope with technology and, you know, making it really special for everyone.
Why not? I mean, we have the time now too. And, you know, it was just a fun challenge to, you know, that's what my whole solo project's been. It's been to push myself and do things that are out of my comfort zone. And that's kind of why I've just been doing it, and to collaborate with all these other amazing artists that I want to collaborate with, you know, from the EDM world to the rock world, and get this hybrid and, you know, challenge myself to write songs and lyrics and talk about topics. And, you know, I mean, some of these lyrics you'll hear in these songs I'm playing really do have to do with, you know, all of this. And this project for me has been just a battle to, you know, push myself and do something out of my comfort zone and really put drums here at the forefront. You know, with Street Drum Corps, I had, you know, Bobby and Adam and Justin, you know, this army of drummers around me, and we all had each other, and, you know, all that. It's like, this is kind of, it's just me, you know? So it's been fun. And it's like, I think this is just healthy stuff for my brain, just to keep me, you know, inspired and pushing, and just trying to, you know, grow and constantly learn and all that.
So what is the name of your solo project, and who are some of the artists that you're collaborating with?
It's just either Zummo or Frank Zummo. And for this show, I'm collaborating with Landon Tours from The Plot and You, Dying and Designer, Little Lotus, YL, and there's a couple other songs I'm playing that I don't have the artists on. But, you know, because I wanted to do like kind of half and half, where it's just me and then half with special guests to kind of just do a bunch of different stuff. But I'm playing some songs that I've done with Keizo and stuff that's been released as my solo music, or features with like Keizo and different stuff like that. And I just kind of put it together in a DJ style, just like literally like 6 songs in a 10-minute set, which is super fun.
That is super cool. Well, thank you for speaking out on mental health. You are now a Check Your Head podcast superhero. Do you see this t-shirt?
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm going to send you one.
Please do. My kid's going to steal it from me, because he just told me that what he wants to do in life is this is my 4-year-old. He wants to be a musician playing Spider-Man. So
musician? Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, rad. So I'm sure he'll steal that shirt from me, because he wants to be a superhero, which is awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, Frank. It's so nice.
Of course, good to talk to you. I know, it's been too long, and it's so great to, it was nice to see your name on the email coming through yesterday, you know, to reconnect. And it's just, you know, I've been in constant, you know, contact with Neil, which it was all because of you from that many years ago. So thank you for that. It's just full circle, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it just, I don't know, after a while, it does feel like a family. And
Totally.
I also saw Neil like about a month ago, and he's telling me about all his projects and so forth. But, you know, it's just great to talk with people who are not only dedicated to music and their craft, but also, you know, are doing like some great philanthropical endeavors like yourself. So
that's, you know, the last thing I'll say is that's what you know, when we have this spotlight, when this many eyes are on us on social media and at these concerts and all that, like, I want to use it to help and inspire and do positive stuff, instead of just making the whole thing about look at me, or me talking about my politics, what I think of the president, or this, you know, what, you know, coronavirus that's going through. Like, I'm going to stay away from all that, and I'd rather put that into trying to inspire some kids, motivate kids, mental health. Like, that's what I feel like my, you know, quest in life is, with having this many eyes, you know, on me. And, you know, I wish more artists would do that too. There is a lot of amazing artists do it, but it's like, you know, let's do positive shit when we have this many people looking at us and following us on social media and coming to our shows. So I just feel like it's my responsibility, and I'm just dedicated to it.
That's awesome. All right. We'll see you, Frank. Thank you so much.
Right, awesome. Thank you. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.